Hey, what's going on, everybody? Today we got some price action. We got a dump to the downside. What is this? What does it mean? And what can we look for moving forward? Well, a few examples we can go through are basically the same thing that's been said, although we have this recent dump. So now we can sort of add some things and subtract some things. So stick around and yeah, let's go through it. So the first idea would be to suggest that this is a rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation, sideways blast off. That's sort of been my main idea so far, because it's not overly bullish, it's not overly bearish, it's sort of in the middle, being conservative. I tend to stick with the middle lane, but anyway. This thing can turn around, and we'll talk about that. So, the first idea obviously was an A, or I should say, second idea, B, C. Now, we didn't know if this A, B is finished. Maybe B had one more hit to the high, then we came down. That could still kind of be the case. Let's talk about it. So, this is an A, this is a B, and then now you have C. So in wave C, you need 5 waves. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. We were going to get 5, but we didn't. But here's the cool part. This could be 5. It could be a truncated fifth wave. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That could technically be a fifth wave. It's just truncated. So think about that. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that would be wave A. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 3 waves up in wave B. And in the wave B, you have an A, B, C. And in wave C, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, potentially. This is just an idea. We'll keep going. So then either we go down into reaccumulation, we continue higher in wave C, or we go back down and into a regular C wave that I was talking about yesterday, about the bull market support band, right? We kind of need to test it. So if we do dump and we do break below 60K, people are going to be flipping out. They're going to be like, OMG, it's over. But in reality, it's creating a C wave. Markets move in fives and threes. So, so far we have 1, 2. We don't have 3, let alone 5. So we could, come down A, B, and C, right? And then we can, it would suck, right, in the midterm. But look at it this way. With investing, you got to look at the pros and the cons. And, the best part about something like that happening is you get to buy the dip, for one, and number two, it allows you more time to accumulate, right? Because most people have a job, right? So let's say it takes a week or 2 weeks to get down here, that's another 2 weeks worth of paychecks you just got, right? I guess most people get paid once a week or twice a month, right? So I would imagine most people who work take a little bit of their paycheck and throw it into crypto. Some of them probably throw their whole paycheck in the crypto. I've done that when I've done that a few times when I was too overly bullish, too intrigued. Your inner self, right, is greedy, right? People say, I'm not greedy, but everybody has greed. Everybody has fear. It's a wild beast. And a lot of times you got to tame the beast. So, and that comes with experience, right? So if we have an A, B, C, it would suck, but all of that time would allow you to buy more. And then also you have more assurance that we're going to continue higher if we do hold above. That's the main thing. We have to hold above here. and we have to get a reaction off and then a pullback, and that would sort of be my entry, right? Let's come down. If this is the idea, if this is what we're talking about, but I'll throw out a couple others too. So if we do come down in a C wave, I want to see a bounce or at least consolidation, and then I want to see, after we get that, let me do this like this. I'll stretch it out here. If we do come down, I mean, depending on the time, it might all simply go to 59, right? By the time the bull market support band gets here, right? I don't know if it's going to go fast, contingent on this idea, right? It might take more time, whatever the case may be. Stick with the middle, right? Somewhere in the middle. If we get that bounce, that would be good, or some consolidation, but then you get a pullback, you get a higher low, that would sort of be the long entry to continue higher. Remember, nothing I say is financial advice. We're just trying to play around here and figure out what could be and what isn't. So the hardest part about this is that we're in the retracement level. That's the hard part, right? When you're coming up here and you're grinding, it looks like you have that divergence. You're sort of going up in this channel. Typically you break to the downside, and that was easy to assess. Right now you're going down in another channel, right? And then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So then it's, then when you're down here, it's sort of easy to determine, okay, we're in this sort of downtrend correctively. It's easy to determine that, okay, we need a bounce. But now here's the part. Now here's the interesting part. Now that you're in the middle of point A and point B, you're in the middle here. That's the tricky part, right? That's where people don't know, and a lot of traders don't know. But that's okay. You don't have to know. What's important is you react to what happens, right? Most people just wait and wait until they get a signal, right? So if people suspect it coming down or suspect it going up, they'll trade it accordingly. You don't have to make any decisions right now. Most people are just waiting to see what happens. So that's what I'll say about that. So continuing forward with the idea here, let's focus on this wave here. What's interesting to me is if this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the fifth wave is truncated, then we do have a 3-wave pullback. 1, 2, 3, or ABC. Now, ABC might not be finished. We might come back down lower, right? We might be in the middle of that C wave. But the important thing is we want to see a 3-wave shape, right? So let's talk about that. So we can have an ABC, right? And we come down here, and that would just be, it's the same idea, just looked at it differently. And the idea I'm referring to would be rise, crash, retrace, some type of reaccumulation. Maybe it's at the top, maybe it's at the bottom, right? Maybe it's even lower than that, but some type of reaccumulation phase. So, another thing is we also have 3. So you have 1, 2, 3, and then you have 1, 2, 3, right? And then you potentially have 1, 2, 3. So that would be 3, 3, 3, which would be W, right? And then you come up 1, 2, 3, that would be X, and now we come down for Y. Now maybe Y isn't finished yet. Maybe Y gets down a little bit further. It's a little bit short. I would kind of prefer it to come down a little further, but we'll see. So essentially you have you know, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3. So 3, 3, 3, which would be 1, 2, 3. So, you know, it would be a three-wave move, right? And that three-wave move is following. Now, let's say that this isn't a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? But rather, it's simply an ABC or WXY, right? So you have 1, 2, and 3. So that would be 1, 2, 3, and now you have 1, 2, 3, right? So then if you have 3 up and 3 down, what's the next alternative? 3 back up. 1, 2, 3. And that in itself becomes 3. And that's the interesting symmetry about TA and Elliot wave, right? Because now you have 1, 2, 3, which is 1. You have 1, 2, 3, which is 2. And now you have 1, 2, 3, which is 3, right? So now you have 1, 2, 3, which means it could be, you know, an ABC. Well, technically it would be a WXY. This is just another idea. So W, X, and a Y. And all that would be is just a bigger B wave, right? So all that would be, now it would be probably, you know, depending if it breaks the top. It might not. I don't know. If this is the idea. So it would be A, and then you come up for B. So now this is A. You have 1, 2, 3. That's B. And then you come down into reaccumulation and then go, or you come all the way back down, break the low in a wave C, creating a flat, a major flat. And that would be not out of the norm, because remember, the last few times Bitcoin broke above the all-time high back in 2020, back in 2017, it created a massive flat pattern. So take a mental screenshot of that. Now, I will, to the credit of those two examples, let me take this off. The flat did not break the A wave. So each time back in 2020 and 2017, it did not break this. So it came back down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It kind of bull flagged. And then we go to the moon, right? So that would be a very top contender for our ideas here. Now, again, very hard to know which one, because we're right in the middle of these retracement levels. So, you know, that would be an interesting one to keep an eye on, because look at the 2017 all-time high. It kind of did the same thing a little bit there. I mean, you can see, right? We had the A wave, right? We came down 1, 2, 3. So imagine we're somewhere right in here. Let me flip a different color. Let me make that smaller. Okay. So we actually have, you know, the same type of look. And that's the thing, like, you know, every time, or the last 2 times, Bitcoin broke above its all-time high, it created a flat, which means the price came up to the all-time high. But in this instance, it actually came up a little bit above it, which was a little confusing, because, you know, on the smaller time frame, it could have been seen as a flat. But continuing on, we came up to the all-time high. We had an A, we had a B, right? And we had a 1, or, you know, we had a 1, 2, 3. And then we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We had this bull flag here. So take a mental screenshot of that. Okay, now look at this. So it could be something similar, right? So it's the same kind of thing, right? We had our top here. We come down in A, we come up in B, and then we bull flag out of there, or back below, you know, correctively, and then continue higher. Now, I like the fact that, you know, the other one looked like this. you know, it had more waves in here. So it had 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? It had a better looking trend versus something more three wave-ish like that. So that could still be the case here. Let me just label it a little differently. You know, this is just an idea if that were to play. Now it's looking drastically different because it looks so three wave-ish, where the other one looked more trendy, right? So it makes me think it might not be the same story. But if we get some kind of 1, 2, 3, and now, you know, we're flagging out for 4, and then we get a 5, you know, I can see something like that. Just more in the shape of a diagonal. So yeah, that would be sort of the ideas, right? And then remember, it's an A, B, depending on where B ends, A, B, and a C, and then we go, which allows us to backtest the bull market support band, or a rise, crash, retrace. We come down for reaccumulation, and then we continue higher. So, you know, we have to figure out to, you know, wait and see if this B wave is done. Because a lot of times, you know, you get 1, 2, 3, and then people say, okay, it's in the retracement, and we're hanging out up here, and we got rejected, now we're coming down. But sometimes, you know, it can fake you out, because look, let me show you here. I mean, remember yesterday we had this ascending triangle, right? We were looking at it as an ascending triangle, and basically what was said was we have A, B, C, D. Let's pull back for E on the trend line, then we can go. But look what happened. We broke through. And a lot, like I said before, a lot of times the patterns fail, and this one failed. So when it fails, people say, oh, well, now the C wave is here, now we're going back down. But what is hidden behind the scenes is a three-wave move right here. 1, 2, 3. So if you have a three-wave move, sometimes that's what is needed to kick it off again, right? To finish up that B wave, right? And then it would be, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or that diagonal. And then you come down for reaccumulation, then you go. So do we get reaccumulation now, or do we make another high, then come down for reaccumulation, right? Or even, you know, it can flag out like 2017 did, right? And 2020, by the way. So I'm just kind of giving you, you know, the perception. I don't have definitive answers, but I'm just laying it out, you know, just so that we all, you know, that we can understand, right? Another thing is Wyckoff accumulation, right? Or Wyckoff distribution. Now, you can see here, look at this. A lot of people are looking at this, right? So here's your here's your support, right? And then, yeah, here's also some support here. But we won't talk about that one yet. I mean, this is the support here. So we have 1, 2, 3. We came down, we hit support, right? And then we went 1, 2, 3 back up, right? And now we have 1, 2, 3, and we broke the low. We broke the low. But look what happened when we broke the low. People thought, oh, now we're going to go down, right? Everybody's extremely bearish. We had a big dump. I want to get out of the market. It's making me nervous. It triggered my stop, right? A lot of stops got hit. People put their stop loss right there. So what happens is this giant big red candle, by the way, you have 2 engulfing candles with these short-term corrections. Let me actually zoom in a little closer here. So what happened is, and look at that, we beautifully wick off of it. So, and then, we have a 3-wave shape. But what I was trying to say is, before I rudely interrupted myself, is, when you break below resistance, or actually support, people go short. They say, okay, I'm going to go short. And then also people who have their stop loss. But the problem is, when you go short, not always, but sometimes when you go short, when you break below support, a lot of times what happens is people's stop losses get triggered, which then all that money they had in the market is now out of the market, but back into sort of, if you're short, right, it's back into, or if you're long, right, it's off the table. But a lot of times, that liquidity, gets tapped into, and people buy it, people long it, right? So then you get this reaction like what we're seeing here. We have an engulfing 45-minute candle. Let's go to the 30-minute. Yeah, you have this pretty, let's actually go to the 1 hours. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 bullish candles. I was going to say bullish engulfing, but they're not engulfing. We broke resistance, and now we're getting a bounce higher. Now, here's the thing. Now, how can we figure this out? Well, looking at the smaller time frame. Remember, smaller time frames are always much more challenging than the bigger time frames. So you get more things wrong more frequently than you do from a bigger time frame. But that's okay. That's why I like to have my videos a little longer, because I like to go through the different interpretations, different perceptions, and but look at this. We're starting to pump here, and to me, I wouldn't buy it now, but from my perspective, we have 1, 2, 3. We have 1, 2, 3, right? And then we have 1, 2, 3. We have 1, 2, 3, and now we have 1, 2, 3. So you come down, you break out. You go up, you break down. You go right, you break out, and as you're going up, then you break down, and now you're coming back down. So what do you think happens next? Something like this, right? It's going up, it's going down, up, down, up, down, up. Every time following 3 waves. So we have 3 here, 1, 2, 3. So to me, are we going to get 5 or 3? Right? So sometimes it can be like this, where you can say this is a WXY, and that's fine, or it can be an A, B, C. If it's a C, then you're going to want 5 waves. So it'll be interesting to see if this develops into 5 waves, or some type of 5th wave diagonal. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't like it because if it is 5, then the 5th wave would have to be shorter than this wave. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5, and then you go up. But to me, it's probably only going to be 3. So yeah. So that's the interesting thing here. So if I zoom in, let's go to the 20-minute or 30-minute chart. So if this is 3, what I would look for, right? Actually, let's even zoom in closer. Let's go to down to the 5-minute chart. That's a pretty big recovery. And notice the recovery too. You can notice here how it's more choppy. That's a bear flag. And this one's more impulsive. Now, what I would look for, because so far all we have is 3 waves, right? We have 1, we have 1, 2, and 3. Now, the way you can figure out if it's a reversal is if we get 4 and then 5, right? If we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and sort of, hopefully break this retracement here. This is just for fun, right? Because who cares? Most people are long-term hodlers, right? So we're just doing this for fun. If just as a mental exercise, right? If we get 5 waves, 1, 2, 3, we hit the 618. So that's it right there. So we have we have this downtrend here, right? We're going down, and this wave in particular is a big down wave. And now we came up 1, 2, 3 with a 618 retrace. So a lot of people would probably go short right now. Right about now, people are going short. Now, by the time you watch this video, it's going to be drastically different. So that's why I really don't even bother with the small time frames, because as soon as I upload it, it's completely changed. But what I'm saying is, if we get 1, 2, 3, and that's all we get, we come back down, and then we come up, and then we start rolling down, whatever happens in the retracement, remember, it's kind of like what's happening now. So you have point A at the top. Let's say we come down, and point B, you come up in the retracement. Do we go down, or do we continue higher for that 5th wave? That'll be the deciding factor. Or maybe we go up a little bit higher. Well, whatever the case may be, eventually this thing's going to pull back. Whenever it pulls back and it starts to reverse on itself, as it retraces this move, do we break out? Do we have rise, crash, retrace? Do we reaccumulate in here, then continue, or do we continue down? That'll be the interesting part. So if we do have that 5th wave, what I would look for is this 1, 2, 3, whatever 3 ends, right? If we count it in here, I would have to even go down even further to the 1-minute chart. It's ridiculous, unless you're short-term trading. 1, 2, I would say 3, we're going to get 4 and 5. So whenever this wave finishes, if we get 4 and 5, let me go back, then what I would look for is, once you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then you get an ABC. You want an ABC correction. Then when you find support down here, when you back test this area, depending how low it goes, and you get a reaction, that's kind of where I would maybe long it for a short-term trade, right? Continue higher. So then when you zoom out, then all of that becomes only 3, right? 1, 2, 3. So it could be just retracing. We have 1, 2, 3 down, 1, 2, 3 up. We can get another 1, 2, 3 back down. So that's what I'm saying. It's challenging to know when you're in these retracement levels and in these corrections. There's a lot of different possibilities. That's why when you're short-term trading, you're basically adapting to new price data. But so zooming. That's why we just, when in doubt, zoom out. Not a big deal. I would like to see this 4-hour candle close above this bullish engulfing, or this bearish engulfing candle. So that's what I have for Bitcoin. Again, real quick, we have a flat A, B, C. We have a 1, 2, and then maybe a 1, 2. We're flagging out for 2, and now we're going to continue pumping higher, right? Or this is an A, B, C. And then the contingent on that, the B wave can have one more hit to the high before flagging out for C. If it does have another hit to the high, then I would be more inclined to say that this is a rise, crash, retrace, and then we get reaccumulation versus breaking this low, right? So, the way it looks, this impulse to the upside and this sort of correction, this 3, 3, 3, it kind of looks to me like it wants to, break above and take this liquidity. And once it does, then we can start, falling down in this bull flag, similar to what 2017 did, and then continue higher, right? And that would be a 1, 2, 3. And then again, the more bearish case which would actually be a blessing in disguise, would be to retest the bull market support band, which we haven't done, A, B, C. So it's kind of a bittersweet, you know, it's like you don't want it, but you kind of do, you know, you kind of, you know, it's like telling a child, eat your vegetables first, eat the things on your plate that you don't like first, and then eat the things that you do like best last, right? So you have to kind of eat your vegetables in order to get that juicy steak, right? Or whatever. So, you know, there's always that. So if we do come down, we have the bull market support band there. So it's not really too much of a big deal. But let's look at the bigger picture, right? So we had the weekly close at an all-time high. This was the highest weekly close ever in Bitcoin. And a lot of times when you get a big engulfing close, right, a candle, right, and then it closes, a lot of time the following candle likes to retest 50% of that. That's exactly what I said yesterday with the quarterly and the monthly candle. Oftentimes when you have a weekly candle breakout, now unfortunately it didn't clear this wick. If this wick wasn't here, it would look a little better, but nonetheless it was a engulfing highest weekly candle close. The following candle is now currently retesting 50% of the body of the engulfing candle, right? So it'll be interesting to see if we can, you know, find some support here. What we don't want to do is have a weekly candle close below 69K, so above these closes here, right? And then obviously if it did that, then, you know, probably we'll test that bull market support band. But if we want to keep the trend moving, we want to have, you know, here's your close, right? Right here. And then you pull back, then you break above the close, and now this candle's coming back down to back test previous resistance as the new support. So we broke above resistance. This candle retests 50% of this candle. At the same time, it back tested, right? So that's what we know on the weekly. So going even higher, and then also we're still above all of these closes. So, you know, when you zoom out, the price is finding support above this resistance, right? So this was resistance, broke out, now it's finding support above it. So that's a good thing, and a lot of times it likes to consolidate before moving higher. So that's what we know with the weekly. Now when we go even higher than that, remember we also had a monthly candle close. So let's look at the monthly candle. Now what I said with the monthly candle is we had the highest monthly candle ever in Bitcoin, and we haven't had that highest close since going all the way back of October of 2021. So, you know, that was quite some time ago. Let's see if I put this here to here. That's 882 days. We haven't had the highest monthly close in 882 days, because last month, you know, we thought it could do it, but did it do it? I don't think it did. No, it did not. It did not close. At least on the Bitstamp chart, it didn't. Yeah. So the month of March, this candle is probably the most important candle in Bitcoin's history right now, because it is history. It just made a new all-time high close. So what did I say in the previous video? Oftentimes, right, same kind of thing, but just on a bigger scale. Oftentimes, what happens is just exactly what I said with the weekly chart. We have this big breakout, right? This big engulfing candle that closed above. So what did I say? The following candle sometimes likes to retest 50% of this candle. Now, it could come all the way back down and back test the top of this, right? Back test the top of this breakout area, because we technically haven't done so, right? So, you know, if you look at it like that, we can either retest 50% of this candle or back test the breakout zone, right? So here's your resistance, you break out, bullish engulfing candle, you come all the way back down to back test, right, the breakout level to make previous resistance the new support. Then once you find the support, because breaking out is easy, coming down to confirm it is harder, right? Because then a lot of people run for the hill saying it's over, but a lot of times, no, it's just pulling back to confirm what it already done so that you can continue higher. So that would be, you know, some of the analysis on the monthly candle. Remember, it's the monthly chart that we talked about yesterday. And even, you know, it takes time. It, you know, 30 days per candle, it takes some time, right? So going to the quarterly chart is another big deal, because, you know, this is the highest quarterly candle in Bitcoin's history. So again, sometimes, you know, we had this bullish engulfing candle. The following candle, again, can come all the way down and retest 50% of that candle. But look at that. Look where the 50% line is. It's right where the bull market support band is, right? So by the time, you know, the bull market support band's still low. It's about 53K. So, you know, what we want to happen is not necessarily correct through price, but correct through time. Because if we allow more time to elapse, then what happens is it allows the bull market support band to catch up, right? So then once we do get that pullback in price, if we do, then the bull market support band won't be so far down, right? It would have, you know, came up a lot quicker. So here's the band, and let's like project it outwards right up here, and then by the time we meet it, it's, you know, maybe 59 or 60K, right? And then we continue higher. So very challenging spot we're in right now. As for the price of theta, we also had a significant close, right? This candle, well, obviously this candle too, so it's not too significant, but we had a bullish engulfing quarterly candle. So again, oftentimes, you know, and then also you got to keep in mind we're coming into some resistance up in here. So somewhere like, yeah, so all these wicks in here. This was the, you know, the breakdown moment. And one of the things I stated, I think maybe a month or two ago, was this here. So as soon as we lost this, we broke down very quickly. And one of the things I said is once we break above this, it's going to slice through like butter and come right up and test it, right? Because there's no resistance between here and here. It's just an elevator down, right? And then, you know, the elevator back up. So, you know, there's this kind of this gap here. So sometimes what happens is the following candle likes to come back down and retest 50%, or better yet, the bull market support band. And then it kind of fills in some volume profile, right? Because there's not a lot of volume profile or a lot of structure in the chart right here. It's straight down, straight up. So the following candle likes to, you know, build some structure in here before breaking higher. That way you have a base down here, and then you build a second base up here before continuing higher, right? Because if it were to just keep going, then you don't really have any support. So the chart is sort of creating a path. You know, we might not see it now, but it's, you know, it's creating something potentially, right, for the better for the betterment of itself, right? We all want it to go up, but a lot of times the price says, no, I can't, I have to build up some support, build up my strength, then I can go up. Then I'll be much more sustainable when I hit here, right? So if I go up now, I could collapse on myself. But if I build some support here, then I can have more strength for the long run. The price is always looking, 20 steps ahead, whereas we are always looking for the next big candle, right? So that's just kind of some broad speculation for the 3-month candle. Now, as far as the actual price analysis for theta, let's look at the monthly candle close. Yeah, we came right up into that resistance up here. We actually broke above it, which is nice to see. So here's the close right here. We broke above the close, but then we came back beneath it. Now, it's to be expected, right? Because Bitcoin's pulling back, the whole market's pulling back. Let's go to the weekly candle. So the weekly candle, let me put this down here. So now the closes are a little bit beneath it, right here. So I'll put 2 of them there. I'll make that one smaller. So the price broke above this sort of resistance here, right? Because again, like what I was saying before, we have this straight shot down with no, cluster or structure of candles. So, one of the things I said, when we broke above, we sliced right through it. So now we are above this line. So what we want to see is build structure support above it. If we can't, then, we pull back 50% of this move. So for example, if you look at this move here, here's our first wave right here. And where did we stop? We stopped a little higher than halfway. A little higher than halfway. Then we continued higher. So if we do the same kind of logic, that would put us about right there. Somewhere about there. Or even if you want to cut it, the wave in half. So take this whole wave and cut it in half. You're right around where that bull market support band is. So something like this. If this is all contingent, right, on Bitcoin playing out that ABC move, right? So somewhere down in there, in this wave. And then also you get more confluence if you put the retracement level. So I'll start it from here and I'll go all the way to the top here. And look at that. Perfect. Right between the 618, 702, and even the 50%. So we had a big monster rally. So what's typical is to get a 50% correction, a 618 retrace, right? And then the cool part is you have the bull market support band down there. You have the 618 retrace down there. You're retesting 50% of the wave, right? So you find support. So these are where the buyers step up. If you're smart money and you just saw the price go 1 candle, 2 candle, 3 candle, 4 candle, 5 major big fat green candles, are you going to buy it? Probably not. You're going to wait for a pullback. The question is smart money looking at this as enough, as a sufficient pullback to enter the market? Maybe, probably not, right? But there's always a chance that we can flag out and continue higher. But I'm just saying, always prepare for the worst. And when I mean the worst, I mean the more reasonable, realistic approach. And to me, that would be retesting the bull market support band, or at least coming back down. Let's see where that is. I would say the $2 mark. So if theta can hold above $2, that's the important part. As long as theta is above $2, actually, let me do this. Where's the $2 mark at? right about there. So by the time, if the price does pull back, by the time it does, you can see the bull market support band is continuing to travel higher, right? So if we just project it like this, by the time it comes down, that's actually above $2, right? Or like this, or like this. So somewhere in here, right? And then we can get that reaction and continue higher. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Because so far we only have 1, 2, 3. Either the third wave is done and we're getting 4, 5, or the third wave needs one more hit to the high, then we pull back down for wave 4, then we continue higher for wave 5. So that's really what I have for theta on the larger time frame. Now let's look at it more closely. Take everything off the screen. So the current candle looks pretty bad. You know, you have a red bearish engulfing candle. It's engulfing the previous candle. And that is all following, 3 waves, right? Just, if you skipped ahead of the video, I highly recommend watching the Bitcoin portion, because everything I talked about with Bitcoin exactly applies to what, with theta, right? So we can see 1, 2, 3. We have a 3-wave move, right? We also have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and sometimes you get 1, 2, and now we're probably getting 3. So 1, 2, 3, W, 1, 2, 3, X, and now 1, 2, 3, we get Y. So the question is, does Y break the low? Maybe, maybe not. And then what you have here is a beautiful 3-wave pullback. Now you have some nice looking structure, because you have 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. You have a 3-wave move. And then when you zoom out, it looks like a normal pullback. And by the time, this is actually what I would like. This is, if you're a theta hodler, you should be kind of somewhat cheering for this, because it makes for a nice correction. And then by the time you get up there, because here's the important part, look at the bull market support band. You can see it's traveling higher, but look, every week closes, right? Because it's a weekly indicator. Every week that it closes, look at the incline it just had. So let me zoom in here. You can see how this is how you know it's bullish. Here we're going up, right? And then once the week closed, look at this sharp increase to the upside. So that's how you know it's drastically increasing in value, and that's what you want, right? So by the time, let's say it takes, we're on Monday, so Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, we'll come back down here, Sunday, Monday. So I'd say 7 days would put us at next Monday. Maybe this week is a down week, right? But there is reason to suspect that Bitcoin could, like I said, it had that 3-wave shape. It could come up and take out the high before, coming back down. But any way you slice it and dice it, if you look at the daily chart, it looks like it's forming this 3-wave shape, right? You have this channel that breaks up. Let me take this off the screen and look at it like this here, right? You have a channel, then you have another channel, right? Kind of, sort of. And now maybe we develop another channel back down, like chutes and ladders. Remember that old game? So you come down, come back up, come back down, A, B, C, or W, X, Y. And then by the time we get down here, if we get down here, hopefully we do, because then we can test the bull market support band, and then we can have a nice sustainable rally, knowing that we can sleep well at night, knowing that it got to test it and confirm it. So that's what I got for the daily. Let's see if we can have any more detail as I zoom into the 4-hour chart. I don't think I'll have enough time for theta fuel, but just know the same thing applies. I'll see. Yeah, it looks 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and now we have 1, 2, and now we're starting that third wave to the downside. Right? So, this correction is actually looking, when you zoom in, it looks like it's getting near complete. I would say maybe another week or 2 at the most. So you have 1, 2, and 3. We'll see if we break the low. Now, the other idea is to say that it's a simple idea, is just to say that we have a rise, crash, we go up for retracement, and now we're coming down into reaccumulation, and then continue higher. And then as we go sideways, the bull market support band, catches up. So if I put a line and I angle it like this, and I take this line and I angle it like this, that's sort of kind of the projected path. So that, that would kind of make sense as well. But one thing is for sure, it's very corrective, which is good following, that, 300% rally or so. So if I had to label it, it would be WXY, and then you have another WXY or ABC, and then you have WX, and then maybe another Y, which in reality would be either WXY or ABC, depending if the C leg is 5 or 3. So we have 1, 2, 3 W, 1, 2, 3 X, 1, 2, 3 Y. So that's kind of where I'm leaning towards. The Theta network update to Edge node, I think, what is that, 30 days away or so? I think someone said in like a month or in the coming weeks, it says here. So usually what I'd like to see, right, is if there's a news event, or let's say there's a big upgrade or a partnership or whatever, you kind of want, or even the Bitcoin halving, you want the price to go down into the event. That way you can get a massive pump out of the event. See, let's say the event is right here. Let's say that's when it comes, and you're going up, 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 and then boom, here's the event. Likely you come down. But if the event, again, let's say the event is on May 1st, and the price is coming down into the event, boom, the event occurs, that's when you get the big pump out of there. So usually if the price is going down into the news event, or if it's correcting, upon the news, then you get the big pump. But if you already had a big pump and you're pumping, and then the next day you have the news or the event or the partnership or whatever, sometimes that's called buy the rumor, sell the news. You sell the news event, right? So you're buying the rumor that they're going to have this upgrade, and then once it comes out, then you sell it. But the thing is, if we're already getting a correction, this is another reason why you would want to root for this correction coming down here, at least to that first week of April. So we're in April now. So I would say maybe another week, right? So how long was this? This was approximately about 7 or 8 days. Okay. So if you do the same amount of time, starting from here, I mean, technically, it's a couple days away, but I would actually, from a structure point of view, I would actually say about 12 days. So from where we are now, that would be roughly, and maybe by the end of the week, we should be good. But I don't know when that event takes place. So for example, if it happened like I said over here, I mean, a lot of times it doesn't really matter because the market moves with the rest of the market. So if an individual coin has some type of event, a lot of times you could get some big volatility, but then it kind of creates that divergence, and then it comes back to, you know, in sync with the rest of the market. So I wouldn't really put too much stake on that event. Just know that, in my opinion, you know, looking at it from a wave stance, we have 1, 2, we have 3, 4, and 5, and now we have A, B, C. So 5 up, 3 down. We have the bull market support band right there. Let's go. And that's kind of how I would like to see it happen. Now, if we don't break the low, right, then it's just going into reaccumulation. Now, there's always a possibility for the correction to be a lot longer, and the way that could happen is in the form of a flat. So you come down, you come up like this, right? You break the top, you get everybody bullish, but it's only 3 waves. And then you kind of stall out up here, and then you come all the way back down. So it kind of fakes you out, right? So always be cautious of that. But we'll kind of know, you know, I'll definitely update the video when we get up here, if that's the case, and to let you know if it looks like a flat. Because Bitcoin kind of has slightly that appearance, right? That it looks like it wants to do that. You know, looking at Bitcoin real quick, you have 1, 2, 3. So you have 3, 3, right? Or actually 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then you have 1, 2, 3. So you have 1, 2, 3. You have a 3-wave shape. So, you know, this could be correcting for another pump higher, right? And if we get that pump higher, if we break the top, does it become a flat, right? And the same thing with theta. You know, if it comes up, it breaks the top, then you come down for the leg C, right? So for me, I kind of want the C wave to be over with. I kind of want it to just end. So if that's the case, then we don't want the price of theta to have this big pump, you know, if it's going to be a flat, right? So, you know, we want maybe another week or two of correcting. That way, you know, it gives time for the oscillators, the RSI, the MACD, all the other indicators, the bull market support band. It allows them to cool off and to catch up, right? So that's kind of what I'm rooting for, some type of ABC like that. Now, we also kind of have a shoulder, a head, and a shoulder. We have this head and shoulders pattern here that could give us a little bit of confluence, right? So it's not perfect because you don't have support on this side of the shoulder, but essentially something like that. If I had the measure move to here, about right there, and then I bring it down here, roughly it takes us right back down to the low. Actually slightly higher. So you know, do we get a double bottom? Right, here's a bottom, you come up for 3, you come back down for 3, you get pretty close, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then you go back up 1, 2, 3, and then it just becomes more complex. It becomes a bigger B wave, 1, 2, 3, and then you get the C wave, right? So it's kind of like, it just drags out more longer than you would like. So, but that's the part we're at, right? You know, we're in this retracement correction, and that's what we got to deal with. But you know, if you subscribe to my channel, I'll try to update as best as I can for you guys, and give you an unbiased approach. Now, what in the heck? I did not know that happened with Theta Fuel. So that's crazy. I was just, wow.
That's weird. I was just talking about that, but the price of theta. So, wow. Okay, so now check this out. I didn't even see this. So that was the flat I was talking about. So let me go back to theta. Where are you at? The video is going over an hour. It's okay. It's a theta video. So look at this. I was saying 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then we can come up and break the top, right? So that would be a flat, and then you get the C wave, right? But if you look at theta fuel, it already did that, right? So where are you at, theta fuel? So it already did that, right? Which leads me to think that probably theta won't have to do that, which means we're probably a little bit further along in the correction. So if you look here, so you can see how it spiked up to the upside and then bam, it got rejected. So you're probably thinking, oh, but that's okay. That is a flat. That's what a flat is. So you have an A, right? And then you have a B. And then you come down for C. And then you test the bull market support band, and then you go. Now, wave C can be a running flat. It could be a regular flat, or it can be an expanded flat. So it can come down here, and this could be the bottom, right? This could be the bottom, and then it can continue higher in the flat. Or it can come all the way down. That would be a running flat, by the way, if it stopped there. If it gets to the bottom, that would be a regular flat. And if it breaks below the bottom, that would be an expanded flat. So that would be the flat idea for theta fuel. Actually, theta fuel, let me see. Let me zoom out here. Monthly chart looks good. The weekly chart, yeah, it has that flat look to it. So looking at the daily chart, I mean, yeah, you can see that rejection there. That's so you have 1, 2, 3. So you have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 up. You break the top, and then you come back down. So this looks like a flat, and that's actually a good thing, right? That's a correction. That's what we want. And then the entire thing becomes 1, 2, 3. So where does 3 end? Does it end here? Does it end here? We'll have to wait and figure that out. But if Bitcoin corrects down to an ABC, you can bet we're probably gonna break below that. So yeah, I'll keep an eye on that. So yeah, that for now is sort of my main idea for theta fuel. We can stop anywhere in here and have that reversal. It might take a little longer than the way I've drawn it, but that's that. So, looking at it from a different angle, I mean, look at that massive pump. That was a massive I didn't even know that happened. Massive engulfing candle. And then this candle retested, and then you're sort of dwindling down here. So, yeah, it actually looks kind of interesting for a retracement here. You had this big pump, and then you have this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, kind of this beautiful orderly correction. Maybe you have one more low, and then you come up for a retracement, and you retrace, and then you come back down. But it'll be interesting to see if we can get through the retracement, because remember, you have point A, you have point B, and then what happens in point C, right? So if it were to line up with the rest of the market, it would probably be maybe more downside before up. But that's okay, because then it would complete more of that flat structure. So look at that. You have this pump up, you're sort of getting real tight. Look what happens when the price gets real tight. This is a good learning lesson. See, look at this. It's extremely tight in there. Super tight. The price is like stuck in a very tight range, which then leads to an explosive volatile move. It could be the fact too that, looking at, you break out, you come down, and now we need to back test this area down here before continuing higher too. So you can look at it like that. Didn't want this video to be this long, but theta fuel, I didn't even look at it because I was just looking at theta. I was thinking, it's probably the same, but I didn't notice that came up and did that. So that actually is a little bit helpful. So now I can kind of confirm that this is a flat, right? And then also, let me just wrap this video up, and to say this, let me go to the 2-hour chart. I can say this too. So this would, so you know the flat idea. This would be the second idea. So check this out. What if it's a diagonal? Now we do have 5, right? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That could be a diagonal. If it is, then we have an A, right? We're going to come up for B, and then we come down for C, right? I don't know how C looks. Maybe it breaks the low, maybe not. Usually it does. It comes down to about where the first wave was. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have an A, B, C. And that's where you would want to long it, not financial advice. But if that's the case, by the time we get there, what would be really, really, really cool for Theta Fuel is if this bull market support band, you know, let me draw some lines here. You can see how it had that uptick, right? Look at that. And if I put the lines, that lines up exactly, you know, where we could potentially, you know, tap out at. If this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's a diagonal. And then we have 5 waves. So then you want a 3-wave pullback. You back test it, right? And then you continue much, much higher. But you really, if we do that, we want to break above. If I put a trend line from here to here, we want to break above that trend line. Because if we don't, then we risk having 3 drives to the high. So resistance, we come down, we hit the resistance again. If we come back up, we really want the price to break above that trend line. So those are my 2 ideas for Theta Fuel, right? We have the diagonal, ABC pullback, continue higher. Or we have an A, B, C, and a flat. Now it could be an expanded flat too, and we can break this low even below the bull market support band. But I think it'll be recovered fairly quickly, because when you look at the bigger picture for Theta Fuel, we are right at the end stages of that Wyckoff accumulation, right? So remember this here. So here's our, you know, our range right here, right? We've been in this range for a long time. We broke above the range, and now we're back testing the range exactly where we are now for this example,
which is right here. So if I put it on the screen side by side, I've shown this before, but just to reiterate, we're probably right here, right? We had 3, came down, break the low. 3, came down, break the low. We came back up, and then we spring this nice cup here. Then we broke above this resistance right here, broke above the resistance, and now we're sort of flagging out exactly like the example, right? So, you know, like I've been saying for the last couple weeks now, you know, we just play around in here, and eventually we're going to break out, right? So maybe we come down and we retest the bull market support band. Maybe this is a flat. But whatever it is, at the end of the day, it kind of doesn't matter, because it's the price is doing what it needs to do in a correction. The reason why I like to spend a lot of time and go through it is because sometimes people want to know the thought process of how I conclude these things, so that, you know, you can do it for your own charts and, you know, interpret, you know, the way that you see it as well. So, you know, we have this V shape into the resistance. We have this cup into the resistance. We broke the resistance, and now we're basically correcting and getting ready for that breakout. So hope you enjoyed the video. You know, hour and 10 minutes basically. But I did Bitcoin thoroughly. I did Theta and Theta Fuel. Didn't think it was going to take too long. But yeah, that flat definitely surprised me. So that's actually good to see. But anyways, guys, if you want, you can drop a comment below and let me know if you want me to take a look at any coins. My list is already pretty full, so I don't even know if I can get through all those. I think I got like 15 or 20 already.
So it's getting pretty full. But other than that, if you guys, it'd be awesome if you can leave a like and drop a comment and hit that subscribe button. And if you want to support the channel, there's a YouTube tip jar on the screen. You can scan that and leave a tip. That is always extremely appreciative. And yeah, I will catch you guys on the next one. Cheers.